Hey YouTube, Rob again, back bringing you another video. Today I thought I might do a bit of a sort of a horror related style video since it's horror month, getting close to Halloween. I've just sort of watched a few sort of horror related sort of movies, so thought I might make a bit of a video about it. Sort of showing what I've watched just over the last few weeks, type thing. So we're going to start because this might be another long video. Okay, so first one is probably a film that doesn't probably need to be talked about, but I did sort of watch it, and I haven't sort of talked about. I think I've talked about it in my last video as well. That's Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween, a very great movie. I've sort of said that before. I'm sure a lot of people know that already. That it's a really good movie. As I said before, I really just sort of like this movie. Actually, I really love sort of the way the cinematography to it and the way it's shot and the characters in it. And I think I bought the Digibook edition there, which you can see recently. Just a really good film. I don't need to sort of say too much about it, I suppose, really. I just sort of like the way it looks and storyline to it, and a very well-made movie, I think. So that's that. I won't say go too much on that because people already know that's a good movie. But I've never actually sort of seen this one before, Halloween 2, which is like a sort of pretty much sort of just carries on directly after the sort of the first movie. I actually quite enjoyed this one as well. Actually, this is a really great sequel, I thought. Very much, I really sort of enjoyed the way it sort of carried on directly from the first movie, and basically, I'm sure people don't know what it's about, I suppose, but obviously, Jamie Lee Curtis has sort of been, she's sort of been taken to hospital after sort of the events of the first movie to, sort of try and recover. And, Michael Myers sort of follows her there, to try and go and get her type thing. Another sort of great looking visual sort of to it. Very sort of suspenseful as well in some sort of parts, and I'm not sure what to say really. I just thought it was really good, and great sort of continuation, I think, from the first movie. Now I have sort of watched the Rob Zombie's, the first one, his first remake of the first movie. I haven't sort of seen the second one, and I did sort of say that I thought that movie was absolutely terrible, which I think it is. But I mean, I don't know. In some ways, I don't think necessarily. I should probably sort of state that. I don't think it's necessarily sort of the movie's fault. I don't think. I think it's more. I just sort of find it interesting that in these sort of John Carpenter's ones, it's sort of very sort of 1970s type characters to it. It was a lot more of a sort of an innocent time. You sort of leave your doors unlocked, and if you had because obviously the first one's about babysitting. Back in those days, you could just sort of get the person next door to babysit your kids type thing. Whereas today, you got to get, never really quite sure about the person that is going to look after your kids. You got to get references off them, and because it has been sort of situations where parents have left the kids with the babysitter, and the babysitter turns out to be a total bitch and hits the kids, type thing, whatever. So these days you've got to be a lot more careful, type thing. Very much like this is sort of if I want to say, sort of before, Ted Bundy was that, before you had sort of serial killers, and I don't know, that's the way I look at it. Ted Bundy was, that's sort of the way he used to sort of get his victims, because it was a lot more of an innocent time, and I'm not sure if people know, but he used to sort of have like a plaster. He used to put his arm in plaster, and so he people would sort of feel a bit sorry for him type thing, and then he attack them. Nothing wrong with him type thing. But that's the way you used to sort of lull his victims, sort of into it, sort of thing. People would, obviously a lot more innocent back then, and it was a lot more sort of family sort of orientated, and you sort of knew your neighbour's name and their kids and all that sort of stuff. But my point is that it's a direct sort of contrast. I mean, 1970s really innocent, type time, and then you sort of go to sort of Rob Zombie's version of it, and it's a lot more updated and a lot more sort of some ways a bit trailer trash. People it's all a lot more, I don't know, talking about, I don't know, like skull fucking and hitting people, and a lot more people are a lot more nasty in that movie, I think, than they are in this the 1970s sort of version to it, and which I guess in some ways I just don't like that. I think I much prefer the people, a lot nicer people in these sort of movies. Which I think is one of the reasons I don't think I liked the Rob Zombie version, because I just didn't like the characters and the way they were just horrible to each other and stuff like that. And that's sort of the way that the girls in this movie, they were talking about sex and stuff like that, but it was a very sort of innocent way of talking about it. Not compared to the Rob Zombie version, which is pretty much just more in your face, talking about sex, and you know what I mean. It's sort of I don't know. I just sort of found a direct sort of contrast between the two. That's a bit of a off topic, but anyway. But I think that's one of the reasons I just didn't like the Rob Zombie version, because it was, I just didn't like the characters. I much prefer the lot nicer characters in this sort of movie. So that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't like the Rob Zombie version. But I'm sure there's a lot more reasons, but I think that's just one of the main reasons. Anyway, I'll move on. Next one's another John Carpenter movie. His version of The Thing, I think from 1981, I think, or 1982. It's a film that actually, I also perhaps was a little bit sort of overrated. But I mean, I have sort of watched it quite a few times, and I just sort of watched it the other day, and I have to say I actually got a bit more of an appreciation for it, and I sort of watched it and then thought, well, I actually wouldn't mind sort of watching that again straight away. I sort of actually enjoyed it a lot more than so I have perhaps sort of previous times. I have sort of watched it, same as like Blade Runner. I've sort of watched that movie quite a few times over the years, and this is another one I have sort of watched quite a few times over the years, and maybe not necessarily completely got it, but I think I actually sort of got it. I sort of appreciated it a lot more when I sort of watched it the other day. I actually sort of really got sort of more into the film this time. I sort of got caught up in the suspense of it, and sort of I love, it's got really great sort of, perhaps a little bit over the top maybe, sort of, special effects to it, the practical effects, and some of those are really sort of, gross sort of thing, but they're actually, really well done and quite sort of amazing to watch on screen. Good sort of characters to it, and good sort of story to it, and definitely a really good film. I think actually, and I have always sort of appreciated it on some level, but I think it's just this time that I did watch it, I actually did appreciate it a lot more. But I don't know. You need to go to storyline this one, do I? I think people already know what it's about, but definitely, a really good film, that one. And because I sort of watched that one, I did sort of watch the remake, which I think was 2011, I think it came out. This is a film that, obviously because it's a remake, people, like to give it shit and say it's crap and, et cetera, et cetera. Which I think is pretty much a standard thing to do, which a lot of people seem to like doing that. But I actually thought this was actually pretty good. I didn't think I necessarily found anything necessarily all that wrong with it. I think the only complaints I had perhaps with the end of the film, I wasn't terribly sort of keen on the end, and I did sort of feel, I think some people might disagree with me perhaps, but I didn't sort of like the way it sort of, I mean, obviously because it's a prequel to the John Carpenter's one, so it's got to sort of, the end's got to sort of link up, to the beginning of the John Carpenter one. But I sort of just find that sort of a little bit clunky, and it just seemed to me, it sort of seemed a bit sort of chucked on the end. It didn't seem to really fit the movie. It's, I don't know, to me they had to sort of do that, so it was a bit sort of, chucked on. But I thought, some people complain about the bad CGI in it and stuff like that, and but I think there are probably a couple of sort of shots where it doesn't look all that great, but I think there are some other great sort of practical effects in it, and some great sort of visuals to the film. I did sort of hear that someone said that, I was on like IMDb, so I'm not quite sure if that's accurate or not, but they reckon that the movie itself was actually all done with practical effects, and then for some reason at the end of the movie, at the end of the production, I can't talk, someone decided, one of the sort of the higher ups decided, oh no, we've got to sort of make CGI, so they did sort of like a CGI overlay over all these practical effects and made it look pretty awful, you know, type thing. Not sure if that's true or not. But yeah, I thought it was actually really good. I mean, it's it's a prequel and kind of a remake in some ways. You sort of got a bit of a sort of sort of nods to the to the John Carpenter version, and but I thought it was really good. Good sort of characters to it, and a bit of suspense to it. Probably not necessarily quite as suspenseful perhaps as the John Carpenter one, but I definitely thought it was pretty good. I mean, some people just say it's shit, and which is not. It's not shit. I mean, come on, get over yourself. Good movie, I think. Not as good as the original, but still a good movie. Okay, the next, I think next three are actually films that I got from Sanity. They had like a 4 for $50 deal, which I think I was sort of sending some PMs to Andrew Balliner. He suggested that I go down and pick some of these up, which I did, because I thought it was a really good deal. I think it was about 4 for $50. I think like $12.50 each or something. I think it works out to be. I've only got 3 here. I might say the 4th one for my end of the month, because that wasn't necessarily horror related. So I might show it then. This one is Paranorman. Yeah, that's it. You see, I got the sticker there for the 4 for $50. This is I'm a big sort of fan of sort of animated movies, and I did actually quite enjoy this one. I thought it was actually really good. It was made by the same people who made sort of Coraline, which I wasn't necessarily a huge sort of fan of that particular movie, but this one I actually perhaps enjoyed a lot more, I think. So actually sort of, people might know what it's already about, but you've got Norman here, and he's sort of got this sort of special gift where you can sort of see dead people. Everyone else in the town thinks he's crazy because he's sort of walking down the street, talking to himself, type thing. He's actually sort of talking to ghosts, but no one can sort of see the ghosts, only Norman here. And of course, to do a series of events that there's some of the dead sort of come back to life, and then of course the rest of the town can sort of see them. Norman's going to save the day. He was sort of right all along, and Andrew was sort of saying that the visuals are really good, and which I do sort of agree with. There actually some really great sort of animation to it, and great sort of character models, and great sort of visuals to it. And they also had sort of some great music as well to it, I think, as well. But yeah, definitely a good sort of fun, sort of horror related, type sort of animated kids movie. Really good, that one. Next film is actually another film that Andrew recommended, I think, a few months ago. He did like a review of it, and said it was really good. So we've got Cockneys versus Zombies, which I think came out, earlier this year, I think. Or late last year. Anyway, that doesn't matter. This reminded me a lot of Shaun of the Dead. Sort of some people might say it's a bit of a rip-off, I suppose. But if I've got to be honest, I always thought, I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but I always thought Shaun of the Dead was overrated. Like, it was, a little bit overrated. But this is obviously came out later, and obviously I think in some ways just sort of borrow a lot of elements from Shaun of the Dead. But I think I actually prefer this one a lot better, even though, obviously I know that it came after, and, et cetera, et cetera. So I can't, obviously the original's got to be better, type thing, if you get what I mean. But I think, the point is that I think I do prefer this one a lot better. It's actually sort of about sort of two groups of people, I suppose. You've got sort of the younger kids, and they sort of find out that their grandpa's, he's sort of in like a nursing home, and the nursing home's going to sort of be closed down, and so they've got to try and find money to sort of save the nursing home. Very much kind of like the Blues Brothers, I suppose, movie. It's a similar sort of aspect to it. So they decide to go and sort of rob a bank. But while they're sort of in the bank, there's a zombie outbreak. So that's sort of becomes the more important thing. So they just obviously sort of get out of the bank, and they think, well, okay, we've got to go and save Grandpa, get him out of the nursing home. So you sort of got like a sort of between the two, sort of the younger kids and their adventure, and then you also got sort of the senior citizens, sort of locking themselves in the nursing home, trying to avoid the zombies, and trying to stay alive, type thing. But I thought it's, yeah, just really good, really, really sort of great sort of scenes in it, and really sort of funny, and sort of these senior citizens sort of kicking butt, type thing. There's a lot of some of the actors too. I sort of have sort of seen other things, but especially the sort of the older actors. I mean, so I'm a big sort of fan of sort of British sort of TV shows, and especially the early sort of ones from the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. So I've noticed a lot of the sort of the older actors and he have actually been in a lot of other TV shows that I've sort of seen, especially the probably the TV show Minder, which is definitely, I think like at least 4 or 5 of the actors in the older actors in this movie were actually have been at one time or another been in the TV show Minder, which I actually found quite interesting because I'm actually a big sort of fan of the Minder TV show, one of my favourite TV shows of all time. So it's good to sort of see these obviously because they were younger in Minder, but now they're a lot older, so it's good to sort of see them again. Still, sort of alive and kicking, type thing. Also starred, was it Richard Bryce? I think he actually sort of died, I think it's probably would have had to have been one of his last films, I think, because he died, I think in February this year, I think. But yeah, just really sort of great sort of fun movie, and good sort of zombie action to it, and good sort of characters, and just a really sort of fun movie. I really definitely recommend it. It's definitely a really great movie, especially if you like Shaun of the Dead. It's definitely a great movie, I think. Yeah, that one. Okay, now the final film. This is probably got a lot to talk about. A film that sort of gets another remake, which obviously gets a lot of shit on, which is I think is just completely unfair. Got the Evil Dead remake, which I think came out. Was it this year? I think. Now, this is a film that I have sort of heard sort of mixed things about. People either say that it's fantastic, and or say it's pretty shit. Which I sort of watched this movie. I think it was last night, and I thought this movie was just absolutely fucking fantastic. If I can say that, I just can't understand the hate people have. I think I don't know. I know this is a cliche to say, but I think just because it's a remake, people just can't stand remakes. They just totally shut themselves off, I think, to the idea of having a remake. And they just sort of just give it a bad score, and there's a guy here on YouTube. I won't mention names, but I don't know. Some people might know who I'm talking about, but the guy he did like a trailer review, which is I think it's just just stupid. I don't understand why people do trailer reviews. That's the first thing, because you can watch a trailer and think, oh, okay, I don't like the look of that movie, or but to make I think he made I'm pretty sure it was like a half an hour rant video about the fucking trailer. I'd never sort of seen the movie yet, and he's fucking ranting on about it. I did sort of watch. Well, he made like an hour long movie review rant about how crap this movie was, and I think I watched probably 20 minutes of it, and just I think it's still sort of playing. I'm sort of paused it for the moment. I might watch a little bit more of it, but I just he just really annoys me because he just likes to whinge and bitch and moan about movies. He just I've been watching about 20 minutes of it. He hasn't made one single point. He's just rambling on about shit that doesn't even matter. Type stuff. But this is really good. I just love the visuals to it. I thought it was just some really amazing visuals, and great sort of makeup and costume designs and set designs, and great sort of visuals, and if I could use the word beautiful looking film. I suppose sad that a horror movie is a bit strange, I suppose, but it was a very beautiful looking film and very visually just fucking fantastic, I thought. I also really like the storyline to it. People complain about how it's a cliched movie. Well, do those people realise that this is a remake? So it's obviously going to have a bit of a recycling of ideas from other movies or the original. So it's a silly comment to say it's a cliched movie. You know what I mean? But it wasn't necessarily. I didn't think it was necessarily that cliched. I mean, it had I love sort of the Mia character. She was like has a drug problem, and that's why they're out there in the middle of nowhere, because she's going through a bit of they want to try and get her off the drugs and somewhere away from society, and you know what I mean. Which is why they're there, and this is why they a good reason for why they sort of stick around so long, because they think that all these things that are happening are just all in her head, type thing. which yeah, was a really good effect, and I really did like her character. Actually, I thought she was a really great actress as well. Reminded me a lot of no, I've completely forgotten her name. She was in the movie Super, and she was in Whippet. Is it called Whippet? Anyway, I'll put her name down the bottom. I've completely blanked on her name. But she reminded me a lot of her anyway. I really love sort of the Mega character, and I think I just liked all the characters really. I mean, they weren't, sort of going into the movie, I noticed with sort of these newer sort of horror movies, they're all about sort of really attractive sort of actors and, sort of, I'm not saying running around in their underwear type thing, which is, that does happen, I suppose, in, some of the other, 80s horror movies as well. But I mean, I think in some ways there's a bit more emphasis, I think, these days on these newer sort of horror movies. Got to have a sort of a beautiful, attractive, actors. They sort of pick probably be more for their sort of the way they look, not necessarily the way they can act, type thing. But I thought they weren't all, the characters themselves weren't sort of cliched. They weren't all these beautiful, dumb sort of characters and all about sex, and it was actually a bit of decent sort of. It wasn't necessarily a lot of sort of character development, which is another thing that people bitch and moan about, even though the original didn't have that much character development in it either. Yeah, I mean, I did sort of like the characters though. I thought they weren't sort of two-dimensional cliched characters. I didn't think. I just thought it was really good. I mean, a really good sort of remake. Really sort of didn't sort of shit on the original. It sort of followed the similar sort of path to it, and sort of a few nods to the original sort of movies, and people bitch and moan about not having Bruce Campbell in the movie, but fucking get over it, type thing, and people saying, oh, they want a proper fucking sequel with Bruce Campbell in it. Just okay, Bruce Campbell didn't want to be in the fucking movie. Like, get over it. I think there's a cameo at the end, I think, of this, but I have this very, if you sort of watch the credits, But I thought it was just really good. I mean, I had sort of heard it was mixed things, but I had sort of heard mostly good things about it, and so I was sort of going into it thinking, this might actually be not bad, but I think it was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I just want to go on about it, but I love the visuals to it, and I had sort of heard it was rather gory, but it wasn't. I don't think it wasn't that gory. I think that people complained about. I reckon it wasn't. Reckon the only thing that was going for it was the gore. Whatever. I think it was more to it than just gore. But yeah, definitely some great sort of gore to it, and definitely it was great visuals. I think I can't sort of stress that enough. Great visuals to it. Beautiful looking film, as I said before. But yeah, I thought it was just fantastic. And I just don't understand the hate for this movie. I think some people just really have an issues with just saying that a remake can actually be good. I mean, the original film is that wasn't necessarily it's a great film. I don't want to say it's not a great film, but it did have its problems. There wasn't that much character development to it. There was a lot of very sort of low budget film, and for a low budget film, it was really amazing what they achieved on such a low budget. I had sort of heard. I mean, it's obviously this film sort of been made by the original makers of Evil Dead. I mean, you got Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. They were sort of producers on the movie, and and I had sort of heard that they sort of wanted to make this movie was sort of what they wanted to make. When they were making the original one, but they just didn't have the budget to sort of make it the way they did. So this is what they wanted to achieve with using a bigger budget. I don't know. I think it's just a really good film. I don't understand why people just can't accept, can't let it go. They just can't say that a remake. I mean, I think this is pretty much on par with the original. I mean, I think in some ways it's sort of maybe a bit hard to sort of say which one I prefer. Type thing. I mean, I think you got I think the original one's probably going to be the better one. I mean, it's because that's obviously the original and the classic one. But I thought this was really good, and I don't know. I just can't get over people just have just a negative view on remakes. I think it's just, I think in some ways it's really sort of sad and pathetic. I think that people, that people do that. They just can't accept it. But anyway, that's my sort of round. People, great film. You should definitely check it out. So that's my sort of rather long video. I can tell by the time of there. Hope you enjoy that. If you certainly see any of these films, leave me a comment, tell me what your thoughts. I mean, if you don't like some of these films, you can tell me that. Say what you didn't like about it, type thing. But I thought they were all fantastic movies, all the ones that I've mentioned there. So I'll probably be back. I think probably by the end of the month. Movie update will be up, obviously at the end of the month. So until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.